G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Monday the 25th of June 2018 and the time here is 09:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, there's lots going on, as we all know, but so you can actually physically say now things are going more financial than at any time recently. The immigration debate in America is a smokescreen for what's really going on at the moment, because there's several things that are just not working out in America as regards to financials. Now, if you read the business pages at all, you'll see that there's actually, if you actually pay attention, you'll see that there's a lot of companies going bust. And there is an enormous amount of companies doing cash buybacks or stock buybacks, etc. And it's getting exponential. Like there's so many of them now. Toys R Us, for example, went bust the other day completely. Like here in Australia, they've literally just turned tail and gone bankrupt. And they've been in receivership for quite a while. And it's quite interesting to note that a lot of people didn't even know that. You know, there's outrage here in Australia because they employ 700 people and they're just shutting up shop this Friday completely. So, you know, you've got all these little machinations going on financially that if you actually got your eyes open, and your ears open, you'll actually see a lot of this stuff going on. Whereas normal people, it's just a swipe of another credit card. You know what I mean? It's just no idea. So the big thing here is to not take your eye off the ball as regards to financial, because they're throwing everything at you. Politics, you name it, it's all being thrown at you to take normal people's minds off the actual financial shit fight that's literally going on right before our eyes. I'm going to go to, there's something that very, very important that happened on Friday that a lot of people have missed. And you need to make sure you're actually keeping an eye on this. On Friday, Deutsche Bank shares went below $9, or they hit $9. I think it briefly went below $9 for a fraction. Now, it's very, very clear that Deutsche Bank is being subsidised by the Eurozone. And the reason for that is because all the banks, Credit Suisse, French, Italian, you know, whatever they are subsidising. They all have it, they all own each other's debt. So when one goes down, they're all going to go down. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of perspective here. In 2008, Lehman Brothers went pop. Was it 2009? 2008. Their share price before they went pop was $10. And then literally you woke up the next morning, they were worth 1 cent. Excuse me. Why am I telling you that? Well, imagine you wake up one morning and 250 Lehman Brothers have gone broke. That's how big Deutsche Bank is. That's how big it's going to be when it goes pop. About 250 times bigger than Lehman Brothers. Let that sink in a bit. 250 times bigger than Lehman Brothers. Probably even bigger than that for all we know. It has a derivative balance sheet of $50 trillion. Used to be 75 trillion. I don't know what happened to the other 25 trillion, but it used to be 75 trillion. They've got it down to 50 trillion. So after a while, there's only so much you can sell. You can't sell it all. Your debt is so big. So I'm just going to say that again. Imagine 250 Lehman Brothers going broke in one day in financial worlds. Now remember what happened when Lehman Brothers went broke. it took down a lot of big guys with it. So I'm going to show you what's going on with the share price now. Before I do that, this is my comments page. And it's interesting to note the comments from Americans. I'm going to show you one in particular. Obviously, I don't want you to write to any of these people. That's not what I'm showing you for. But some of the comments from Americans as regards, and I used to live there, so I know pretty well what the Americans think about their taxes, etc. You know, and quite rightly, a lot of them believe that we shouldn't get taxed at all. It's not the duty of the government to tax people, sort of thing. You know, that's their belief. I don't know how they expect everyone. Every time I've ever asked them, I said, well, how do you expect the government to pay for everything? You know, but that's a whole nother story. You can go on for hours about that. But I want to show you one particular comment, so I'll bring it up for you. Okay, folks, well, this is a comment here from Jane Stidham. And like I said, this is not to actually pick on Jane or anything like that, so please don't go sending her anything. That's not the point of this. This is actually an open discussion here as regards to adults. You know, I'm just pointing something out to you here, which was my point, right? Jane says, let me say that you're quite misinformed about taxes. The taxes are allocated in America. That may be true. I don't know, not 100% expert on it. Just because a state doesn't have an income tax does not mean that they don't collect taxes. Well, obviously, I understand that. They get it through consumer taxes on goods. Many of us wish it were the same as our federal taxes. Tennessee has a 8% tax on goods, but no income tax on residents of the state. Okay, here's where the Americans missed this one crucial thing here. G'day, Jane. What happens when you have say you continually buy $1,000 worth of clothes or other items every single month for a year, but your next door neighbour only buys $100 per month every month of the year? Who picks up the shortfall? Think about it and let me know, as I would love to know just who does. And look, this is my whole point here. I can go out and spend $1,000 every month on food and groceries. But what happens if every other person in your street is only paying $700, $500, $100? The next three are on welfare recipients and food stamps. Do you get my point here? The system is so badly flawed that you're not going to get that amount of tax back. It's just not going to happen. There may have been a time, you know, years ago, where everyone was earning a good wage, you know, the 50s and 60s, after the war, things were pumping, everyone, you know, that was expected. But you've now got a generation, 3 generations of people that haven't even worked, are never going to work, and they're on the black market selling drugs, selling whatever, being carpenters, painters, whatever. They never pay taxes. Sorry, but that's the truth. I don't know what you want me to tell you. You can't rely, if you don't have a flat tax system. What I mean by that is every single person pays 45 cents in the dollar, then the system itself is flawed, because it's going to fail because of the fact that you don't have an equilibrium anywhere. There's no, if you don't have state income tax, then how are you going to get the bulk of your taxes? It's so higgledy-piggledy. Now, chuck in the mix, let's say 1 million immigrants. They come in over the thing. Well, you've got to supply all that stuff for all those people on the income that I just said to you. You know, you're paying 1,000, next door neighbour saying 750. But see, what happens is your next door neighbour eventually, and yourself, you can't afford to keep buying that much. So your revenue goes down. That's why they need the immigrants, so they can try and keep the inflation, the taxes going and the money going, because you, the baby boomer generation like me, are retiring, or you just can't afford to spend that much money anymore. So they've actually got a shortfall in funds from people, hence immigration. And there's a whole heap of other things about immigration, but we won't go there for the moment. I don't think it's relevant anyway. But I'm going to show you the Deutsche Bank. I'm going to show you exactly how bad Deutsche Bank is now, and you're literally going to shit yourselves when you see this. So on Friday, Deutsche Bank shares went down to as low as $9.06. Now, if you're a follower of my channel here, or my site, I don't know if it's called a channel or a site, then you'll understand something. I said to you a long time ago, this is the high, $35 that we can get here, because this is a 5-year one. I'm doing 5 years here. Now watch this. I finally found a chart that I can show you. I'll put the link, obviously in this one we're doing the, and it never works out, does it? Bastard. Okay, here's the Deutsche Bank shares in 2006, just before the crash. $132, I believe it was, they went up to. Look, that's dollars down here, and this is years. So it went up to $132. I'm pretty sure that's right. It may not have been, but look, it went over $100 anyway per share. So anybody who bought or owned Deutsche Bank shares before this was laughing. Anybody who owns Deutsche Bank shares when they bought at the peak is now in misery land, because even if you bought in 1991 at $20 and you've stuck with them, if you were sensible enough to sell them at 132, then good luck to you. But the problem is that in 2007, 2008, the share price dropped down to $9. Oh, it wasn't. It was actually 11, if I remember. It was $11. That was the low. And I've been following this pretty avidly since then. Now, that's $11 there as well, down here. Now, today, and they're predicting it to go down even further today, it's at $9. Well, let's just remember here, folks, those shares are now trash. And the only way they're propping up this share price at the moment is for the German government and the European government to be subsidising this bank. So effectively, it is a crashed entity, and it's now being subsidised, hard word for an Aussie to say, by the European banking system. They would be literally chucking billions at this thing at the moment, because it is a big black hole. You can easily find this information out for yourself. I could have shown you Bloomberg, could have shown you any of the others, but my main point here was to show you that the shares were valued at over $100 and now they're $9. Now, you don't have to be Einstein or a mathematical prodigy to work out that, wow, there's something seriously wrong there. And they are going to go under, folks. There's no two ways about it. It's going to go under. In actual fact, I think it's insolvent already. They're just, pushing the chairs around, the deck chairs around the ship sort of thing. And, they've probably sent the invites out to the band to start playing on the deck. So you've got, if you are aware, or if you know of anybody, just show them what I just showed you, and say to them, this is happening now, while we're all spending up on our credit cards and worrying about immigration and worrying about this and worrying about that. Yeah, well, basically, they're blindsiding you. Now, it won't take much. The only thing that holds things like this together is confidence. Now, on USA Watchdog, if you haven't already seen this interview, please watch this interview that Greg does with Bill Holter. He tells you exactly what you need to know. And he explains the Deutsche Bank scenario in very simplistic terms. And he's the one that I got the 250 to 1 Lehman Brothers thing from. Now just imagine that. It's 250 times bigger than Lehman Brothers. So, you know, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters? Well, they ain't going to fix the problem. And in actual fact, that point is very relative. Who are they going to call? Because the Deutsche Bank and the other German bank, Commerzbank, I think it is, are the two biggest banks around. And they both own each other. They probably, like I said, there's not one bank in Europe that isn't tied together with another bank because of the default swaps they've done over the years and their debt sharing, etc. So when one of these goes, that's going to be the catalyst for mayhem, folks. Absolute mayhem. And I wouldn't mind betting to save Deutsche Bank at the moment. Excuse me. Sorry, like I said, it's trying to get over this bloody cold. And that's why I've got the Boganess lumberjacket shirt on today, folks. The old flannel. It's actually a bit cool here today. As you can see, it's pretty miserable, but it's about 20 degrees and it's still colder. I don't really know what else to say to you about this because you can't have, there's not that much money around the world to support these guys anymore. So the actual problem is actually relevant. So I'm going to put it to you this way. What would you do today if the Deutsche Bank shares went down to $5? And as I said, I can show you a range of people, news agencies that are all talking about it, but it's mainly financial ones. You won't read about it in your local rag. You won't, like the New York Times might put in it. You might find something in the New York Times about it, etc. But I wouldn't bet on it because they don't want you to know. They want you to concentrate on immigration, etc. at the moment. That's the big cloak over everyone's eyeballs. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. You're walking around, I don't know, and you hear, oh, there's some mad panic at a bank somewhere. Sorry, look, I'll rephrase it. You're at home and you hear, some bank just went under. Well, don't be surprised if they sacrifice at least 5 banks in the European Union to keep Deutsche Bank going. But it is going to go, as I said before. So it's up to you, really, how you disseminate that information and are you ready for it? If it goes today, are you ready for it tonight, tomorrow? I guess what I'm saying is, what would be the first thing you do if you heard Deutsche Bank went under? I know what mine would be. I'd get down to the petrol station as quick as I can, fill up my cars, drive straight to the supermarket and fill up my car with food, even though I'm prepared. I wouldn't even talk to anyone about it. I'd just do that straight away. And third thing I'd do is while I'm going through the mall to get my food, I'd go and buy about 10 or 12 gold and silver chains. So ask yourself, I guess what I'm saying here, Prep Aussie, ask yourself, what are you going to do on the day you hear the information that Deutsche Bank has gone under? Not the other 5. You know, they'll get progressively worse. They'll pick on a couple of little ones, a medium-sized one, a bigger one, and then it'll be bang. Then, you know, and they'll blame it all on the other ones. This is why it happened. You know, they're working this out now, folks. They've been for the last couple of years, how to do this, how to make this reset work best for them so they don't get blamed. That's why this has taken so long. So the question is, what are you going to do when you hear the bank's gone, or the banks are gone and the banks are going and Deutsche Bank is going? Okay, folks, as usual, the verse of the day. But the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. Very good. And as always, we'll finish with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. And then if you go back to this, the verse of the day matches the Lord's Prayer, really. But the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. Okay, folks, well, I'll leave it there. My point being, you know, get yourself ready. Simple as that. That's all you can do. Make sure you're protected, your family's protected, and you have at least some form of community to fall back on, because this is going to happen. Ain't two ways about it. Anyway, God bless. Prep out.